Hey everybody, I'm Kristen Iris. I am a developmental editor, book collaborator, and author manager, and I want to talk to you today about rejection because I was talking to a client yesterday and we were talking about how sometimes when we are pitching to speak or pitching a manuscript or something on our own behalf, it can be really scary. It can be hard to press the send button because we're afraid of that rejection that comes back. So what I found in my own life is something that's really powerful, because after this conversation I hung up and I thought, I definitely do struggle with being afraid of rejection. So I think everybody does. I'm not pretending that I don't. However, I seem to have a little bit less of fear of it than some people, or it's easier for me to just push through that. And I was thinking, I wonder why that is. And I think it's because of something that happened to me a while ago. So I'm going to share a story with you. And this is for just all creatives, whether you're a writer, a speaker, an actor, anyone who puts themselves out there on a regular basis and fears the no and the rejection. So years ago, when I was racing triathlons, I had raced my first year, absolutely loved it. The second year, I joined a local triathlon club, and I had been several times and gone to some workouts with them and enjoyed the group, but I was new. So we had a race that was out of town, and I was going to go and camp, and the race was just near where I was going to camp. So I told everybody, hey, listen, after the race, I'm going to have a barbecue, and if you guys all want to come over to my campsite, we'll barbecue, we'll hang out, we'll have a good time. Well, nobody responded. Nobody RSVP'd. And where I'm from the South, if you don't RSVP, yes or no, that is kind of the equivalent of, or it's one of the ways that you get a go straight to hell card there. So a little culture shock when I moved to the Pacific Northwest. But I thought, oh yeah, people here, they don't RSVP like I'm used to. So okay, I invited X number of people. I could probably guesstimate that this many would come. So I prepared for that, bought sodas and beers and burgers and things for that many people. And on the day of the race, I went around that morning to everybody in our group and I said, hey, listen, I just want to get a good head count of who is going to be there tonight. Are you planning to come? And all of them said, oh yeah, we should be there. That sounds fun. And so I thought, oh my gosh, so I'm about to get in the water to race and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't prepare for that many people. So what do I need to do? So I race my race and this is a mile in the water, 26 bike and 3-mile run. So we're out there for a couple of hours. I'm doing my thing and I'm thinking, you've got to go to the grocery store to prep for these people. Otherwise, you're not going to be ready by the time they get there and you're not going to have enough food. So as soon as the race was over, I packed up all my gear and, stinking of sweat and lake water, I went to the nearest grocery store and I bought more burgers and hot dogs and all of this stuff. And as I am now, back then I was a vegan, so I'm loading up on all of this food that for these people because I wanted to make sure that they were comfortable and got what they expected. So I go back to my campsite, and of course, because I had to go to the grocery store, I didn't have time to go and shower and clean up. So I just kind of took a bird bath and prepped everything, and I was really looking forward to everybody coming and getting to know the group better. Well, I waited and waited and waited. And only one person showed up, Bob. And I'll never forget Bob. It was so nice that he came. And he was actually new to the group. And that race was his first time ever meeting everybody. So Bob and I had a nice chat and a good time. But the kind of funny thing was that Bob was a vegetarian. So, which was great. But he and I sat around, drank beers, and ate our veggie burgers. And then I had all this stuff that I couldn't do anything with that I had purchased, Not only had I gone to the trouble of putting it all up, but I had spent a lot of money to prepare for all of this. So Bob leaves and I'm packing up all this stuff, and just, as you can imagine, it was a real blow to me emotionally, personally. And I really had to, of course I got mad first that people didn't, they would just lie to me and say that they were coming when they had no intention of coming. But then the sadness kind of hit me, and I just realized, wow, you are not one of the cool kids. And for whatever reason, the people around me in that situation didn't feel like they could give me an honest answer and just say, hey, we don't want to come. But whatever the reason, and there's, sometimes we're in awkward situations, so there's nothing about them that I'm trying to make a point about here. But sometimes we get rejected because we just don't fit in with the group. We don't fit what that particular person is looking for. And in business, usually we're being rejected because of our experience or our skill set. We're not being rejected as people. In that situation, I felt like I was being rejected as a person, because if it was that they were busy or there was some logistical thing, then they could have said so, but they didn't. So a couple of things about that. And the one is just to keep in mind that it is business. And even if there is an element of personal stuff, like not everyone, as delightful as we are, is going to love us and immediately click and have chemistry with us. And that's okay. So first I want to encourage you to think back to a time in your life when you have felt personally rejected, like I did, when you've been embarrassed because you thought that you had some kind of an emotional or relational attachment to somebody, and then it turned out that no, you misread the situation and that was not the case at all, and it was painful for you. I think when we can tap into those things, it can really help us handle rejection in business. Because for me, after I was thinking about this conversation with the client and thinking, why are some of us able to push through that fear of rejection and just push the send button more than others? And this story came to my mind, and I thought that is what it is, because I think of that fairly often, and I'm always thinking, there's nothing you can say or do to me that I haven't experienced before, and kind of to my face. And so that helps. But the other thing is that I had a choice of how I was going to move forward after that. This was a group I was involved in the town that I lived in. I was going to see these people again, face to face. How was I going to react? So what I chose to do, so I had a couple choices. I could just quit triathlons and do something else. But I love the sport so much. Like, I was not going to quit racing just because I had my feelings hurt and just because I'd have to see these people again. That was on them. My racing and the satisfaction and joy that I got from my sport, that was on me. So, I went to a few more meetings. I just kind of pretended like it didn't happen, because none of them knew that nobody else showed up, except for Bob. And then Bob didn't join the group after all, or didn't participate in events after that. So nobody knew how embarrassed and sad that I was. So, and then I just kind of faded out of the group, because after that, it never gelled for me. So with rejection, I think you can also kind of gauge your commitment to what you're doing based on the actions that you take after your worst rejections. Because if you have it in your mind that maybe this isn't for you, that you'll quit, or you back off of what you're doing to move yourself forward and towards your dreams, then maybe this really isn't the right thing for you to be doing. But if you have that mindset of like, I'll be damned if this person is going to keep me from, or my reaction to this person, because again, it's not personal. It's almost never personal on the other person's side of things. But if you just say, you know what, I'll be damned if I'm going to let my embarrassment and my sadness over this rejection keep me from what I know is mine, that I can do and that I can have, if only I just keep trying again and again. Just that thought alone can empower you to just push forward, because it reminds you of who you are and that iron rod that goes up and down your spine when it comes to your passion for whatever it is that you're doing, and your sense of self that no matter what, you are going to find a way or make a way. And if it's not this opportunity, you're going to find another one. And if it's not this person that's a good strategic partner, there are lots of other people out there, and all you have to do is just find them and never mind the rest. So I hope that helps you as you move forward, as you deal with that pressure and that fear that you have pressing the send button. Just do it. And surround yourself with people who will empower you and encourage you, and always keep who you are and what you want in the forefront of your mind, because you can be anything you want, you can do anything you want. You just have to keep going.